another live to answer a viewer's question. So this question is a couple months old. Again, I apologize, and I hope that these videos allow you and everyone else who finds this channel to just feel supported, even if I wasn't able to answer your question immediately. So today's question is from Amy, and her little was struggling with the all fours position. We just did another on a baby being in all fours and pushing into extension from their legs and what could possibly be going on there. This one is going to be a little bit different twist on having difficulty in all fours. And so this one is more on, what if my baby has muscle tightness? Maybe you're like, it feels like my baby's body is a little bit more stiff, but not in like a super concerning way. Like they're still able to do most things, right? They're still typically developing, but their trunk maybe feels a little bit stiff. Maybe it's hard to get their arms in their onesies, stuff like that. So here we are talking about, let me read Amy's question out loud. Thank you so much for your amazing video. You are welcome, Amy. I'm wondering what exercises I should do to help my baby to loosen tightness if she is not tolerating being in the quadruped position. So quadruped position is basically just a fancy medical term for the all fours position, being on hands and knees, the position you need to be able to maintain before you then transition on into hands and knees crawling. So babies don't just like move into crawling without any kind of like mini steps along the way. And one of the most common mini steps for babies is to get into the all fours position. Maybe they'll hold it and then they'll kind of collapse back onto their belly. Or that next step would be getting into the all fours position and rocking forward, bringing their shoulders over their wrists, rocking in all fours forward and backwards. That is helping babies learn how to shift their weight shoulders over wrists, so then they can then lift one arm up and place it forward and then create that crawling pattern. If you're not able to get your shoulders over your wrists, then you're not going to be able to hold that. That's actually harder than wrists in line with shoulders. Those shoulders over the wrist, if you're not able to hold that position, then you're not going to be able to do the actual arms and legs forward crawling motion, right? Because that's even more difficult. You've got hold all fours, rock on all fours, then you've got move limbs, and then you've got coordinate everything all together for full on crawling as your main mode of independent mobility, before then you eventually transition at 12 to 16 to 18 months of walking independently. So we've got a lot going on here. Let me pull up my full face so you guys can see kind of what I'm talking about. So first off, when we look at mobility, we're going to look at a lot of different things. We're going to look at the top half of the body, we're going to look at the trunk, and then we're going to look at the hips. So the first thing we want to do is look at mobility from infancy. So if you're getting this, you find this video randomly and you have a newborn, you can check their mobility from being a newborn. Babies have some level of flexion at newborns called physiological flexion. It's totally normal, but they should be able to move their arms in all different types of positions, even at a couple of days old. So the big motions that we're looking at as far as mobility, especially at the shoulders, are, can we bring one arm all the way up, elbow to ear, arm all the way straight? Can we bring arm out to a T? And can we hug ourselves both with the right arm on top as well as the left arm on top? Now you want to do each arm separately. So you've got one arm up, other arm up. You can do one arm out to the side, or you can do both arms out to the side. Typically this motion, if it's tight, you'll be able to get most of it, but you might have like one arm be a little bit of an elbow bent. and then hug the child, like have the child hug themselves. Give themselves a little squeeze. This one pulls the shoulder blades apart, right? So if you have tightness between your shoulder blades and you have to pull them apart to hug yourself, that tightness, that resistance there is not going to feel super comfortable. So a baby might, if they have tightness in their back of their shoulder blades, might be like, I'm not really feeling this, right? So any type of facial grimacing, any type of resistance where they kind of pull back in, all of that is something we want to collect as data that there could be underlying tightness there. So we only go to baby's tolerances. We don't push their limbs past that. So as you're bringing those arms up, if they're stuck here, that's as far as you go. And then you take that as data. Okay, cool. So if you are looking, let me pull back up my screen share, pop over here. It's like get everything popped up. Okay, so you guys, I can even see myself doing my live, so that's kind of cool. So if we come up here and we type in, if you guys didn't know this, if you're on a computer, you can type in different things. Let's see if I type in arm mobility, what comes up. Okay, perfect. So this is like an adult arm mobility if you're struggling with adult arm mobility. But this is the one that I really want to talk about. So baby tight arms, so like tight baby arms. Sometimes I name stuff, some YouTube's kind of like weird titles just so that they pop up more in search. We'll see. I don't know if it really works, let's be honest. So anyways, the biggest thing is like if tummy time's hard, check these, because for tummy time, you have to be able to push through those elbows to lift your chest up. If you have tightness in this area, you're not gonna be able to do that. And it's not gonna be comfortable and you're not gonna want to. And you're gonna be like, this is for the birds, peeps. So you wanna make sure that babies have flexibility from early on so that they can tolerate tummy time, so that then they can build the strength so that when they have to get into hands and knees crawling, they have that strength and flexibility there to fully activate their muscles. In order for us to activate muscles, even me, even you, even infants, we need both flexibility and strength and endurance. So if you don't have flexibility, you're not going to be able to utilize the strength and endurance you may have to the level that you need to in order to do functional tasks, or you're going to do it in a disadvantageous way for optimal development. So we want to, if we have the resources and ability, to bring as much as we can to these littles so that they can develop as optimally as possible. So this video, I will link it down below in the descriptions. So make sure you check that out, or you can just Google baby tight arms and it likely will pop up either on my channel or just in regular Google. Okay, so we have got arms, check, right? We look at arms, maybe we're like, oh yeah, just fluid like a dancer. The next thing we're gonna look at is the trunk. Now this one is tricky because we're not often taught this. Even as physical therapists, it's kind of a more known now, but lesser known topic, is we need babies to be able to have fluid mobility in their trunks in multiple different planes. So the two main ones that we want to check for are rotation. So think of like if my shoulders go this way and my legs are pointing towards you, I'm rotating to the right. If I go to the left with my shoulders and my legs are pointing towards you, I'm going to the left rotation of my upper half of my body on my lower half of the body. And then if you're like laying on your back and your knees go one way and your back stays on the ground, then your hips are going the opposite direction. And so you want to be able to look at a baby's mobility and see, can we get full rotation both side to side? Some babies it'll be easy to bring them to the right. Some babies it'll be easy to bring them to the left. Some babies it's easy in both directions. Some babies it's difficult in both directions. So it's very child specific. We want babies to equally go all the way to the right and to the left. I will pull up a video really quick to kind of show you what it would look like. All right. Say ignore that. Okay, so this video down here, learn how to stretch a baby in trunk rotation for crawling or rolling. This is using a traditional model of stretching, but the baby's body position is the same. You can see in this picture right here that the baby is lying on their back and you're bringing their pelvis to the side. I also have a ton of information on that in my Tummy Time and Learning to Roll book. There is a full section on mobility. So even if your baby is in the crawling stage, this book can still be really helpful because it has a lot of milestones and mobility treatments in there. So it has all the flexibility of the arms, it has all the flexibility of the trunk, it has all the flexibility of the pelvis. So the only thing it doesn't have is transitioning more into the hips, because babies here are not, their hips are not fully developed yet. But my next book, Learning to Sit, which comes out in December or January 2025, I'll make sure to post it on the channel when it is live, and I will also post a Be the First to Know link so you can sign up for that, and then obviously you know before everyone else does when it is officially posted on Amazon. But that is going to have more of the hip flexibility. We'll talk about that in this video though, so you have things to start with. But my books are literally my entire brain on paper, and so they truly have the most comprehensive information just in one place. Like if you're like me, you're like, give it all to me and give it all to me in one spot so that I have literally everything I need in binding right here. So that's why I love writing books, and I hope you guys do too. Okay, so basically you want the baby to be able to have the rotation both to the right and both to the left. So when you lay them on their back, you want their shoulders to be within 1 finger width. So if you have like their shoulders and then you have 1 finger and then the ground, that tells me that they have full rotation there. If it's like, okay, my shoulder is elevated off the ground by like 4 inches, they don't have enough trunk rotation, and they need trunk rotation in order to be able to go from sitting into all fours. So when babies go to transition into all fours from sitting, they have to be able to bring both arms to one side. So if you have an older baby that has head control that can sit independently or close to it, then you can look at these other videos. So these other videos work on specifically learning how to improve trunk control in babies, and then also how to test upper trunk mobility. Those 2 videos, this one right here, are going to show you how to rotate the baby's trunk to determine, does it feel equal? Can they get both arms to one side and to both sides then to have enough mobility so that they can get both arms to one side, bring themselves into a side sit, and then rotate their pelvis to get into all fours. Mobility is often the biggest struggle besides core and arm strength that I see as a limiting factor for littles who are struggling with crawling. I will also link the other video I did on that's more strength-based, so then you guys can have 2 little master classes to look through. Okay, so we've got rotation down. Now this video, playlist, the Total Motion Release playlist, is going to be a mobility focused playlist. There's 2 ways I kind of tell my families about that we can improve mobility. There's traditional stretching. You pull on the tissue, you pull on it, you feel that resistance, and you stretch it, you hold it for 30 seconds, you do both sides so you're nice and balanced, mobility improves. The second option is actually a counterintuitive method. You shorten the motion, or you shorten the motion / like tissue, and that tissue then relaxes neurologically, blood flow goes to the area, those fibers kind of release that tension, and then you do a couple of other things, including vestibular input like bouncing, holding the baby, and you then increase mobility there. So the TMR playlist is going to bring you through all the different directions that I have on YouTube that a baby could be tested in as far as like mobility goes, as well as how to improve that We're not gonna be able to go through all of them, otherwise this would be like a 4-hour video. But just so you know, that playlist is right there. It's just called Total Motion Release. The one that is pictured is gonna be the I'm a Little Teapot motion. So for babies to crawl, their little butts need to go in an I'm a Little Teapot motion. If you have tightness on one side of your trunk, and a baby can't lengthen that side, they're not going to be able to crawl on hands and knees, or they're going to do some type of alternative motion like a hitch crawl where one foot's on the ground and they're just kind of pulling themselves with their arms. Not the worst option, but definitely not optimal, and can have some unintended consequences further down the line. So the biggest thing we want to do is make sure that babies have the mobility so then they can utilize the motion that is available to them. Babies who have tightness in their little bodies definitely are more uncomfortable than babies who don't. And we believe here on this channel that all babies deserve to feel comfortable in their body and have the opportunities to hit all their milestones and uncover any movement blocks that they might be experiencing. So the next one, when you're looking at mobility, is at the hips. So babies need to be able to have flexibility in their hips in order to transition into all fours, as well as to be able to activate their booty muscles so that they can crawl on hands and knees. The biggest option and benefit and position to test this in all together is side sitting. So side sitting or Z sitting is when your legs look like they're in a Z. It's the one pictured right here in side sitting exercise for babies, or also side sitting position exercise on a wiggle cushion. That's just a more advanced version of it. Or it also talks about it and how to help your baby go from sitting to crawling, because we need side sitting. So side sitting, like you can see in this picture, the baby has to utilize the I'm a Little Teapot muscles, as well as have the flexibility in the hip, both in an open position and a closed position. So the front leg is going to be an external rotation and the back leg is going to be an internal rotation. You need to have flexibility in both of those, both side sitting to the right and side sitting to the left. You're going to get balance there, and you're going to be able to say, oh, is one more difficult than the other? If so, the baby might have tightness in their little bodies. One of my favorite things to do if you learn that a baby has a little bit of tightness, let's go back to my other kit here, is to, let's take a hot minute to load, is to get a little handheld vibration massager and to massage their little butt muscles. Like, the cutest thing in the whole world. These are all the products that I recommend. Let's see if I can find it. I think I passed it. You know, all the cool stuff. Okay, there it is. So any handheld vibration massager, I'll put the link to this in the description, but any handheld vibration massager that is gentle first off, so not like the percussion ones that are gonna like pound a baby's little cute muscles. This is very gentle, very low key, but anyone that has like a little knob, because a baby's muscles are going to be much smaller, and I find that even just using one of these little knobs on their booty muscles can be really calming and help relax that booty muscles. So if a baby is struggling with side sitting, this is one of my favorite strategies to help with that. So, okay, guys, we have got all this stuff. Okay, let's recap because there's so much, right? So first, we need to be able to make sure our babies have the flexibility in their arms. Arms above head, arms out, hug, hug. One thing we didn't talk about that I really love is back bends on a stability ball. Let me pull that up real quick. I don't want to gyp you guys of something that could be super helpful. This works on... Okay, so both of these videos, this one I like the best for this specific scenario. Why is my baby bad at tummy time? Back bends on stability ball exercise, because it talks about the arms being over their head. You're extending their back. So not only are you getting arm extension, if a baby's laying on the ground, they may be able to bring their arms up here, but if you bend their upper trunk backwards a little bit, they might have their arms here. So you're adding a little bit more of a stretch, but they can relax over the ball. And that can be so helpful to just increase the flexibility, not just of the upper half of their body, but also through the abdomen. I literally adore this exercise. I use it for so many kids. So, okay, let's try this recap again. You guys know I talk a ton. You know these lives are not edited. They're just me having fun and trying to get you guys the most information in the most specific way as possible. So thank you for being really kind to me always in your comments and being gentle with how messy sometimes these lives are. So we've got, to recap, arms up, arms to the side, little baby hug, both arms on top. This one is going to be the most difficult usually for babies. So do one arm at a time, and then over time bring both arms up. It's okay if it takes a little bit of time of just gentle practice and mobility at those arms in order to fully achieve that motion. Then we've got arms on the stability bar, arms overhead, back bends, really opening up the front of that chest to make sure you have full flexibility through the body in extension. Then we've got trunk rotation. Can the baby rotate, bring both arms to the right and both arms to the left? And then we've got the lower trunk side bend. Can the baby create a C shape in their trunk doing the I'm a little teapot motion, I'm a little teapot motion. Now, the way you're gonna test this in the video is by moving their bum to the right and moving their bum to the left, not necessarily bringing their elbow down. So make sure you look at that video if that is a direction that you want to check. And then the last things you're gonna look at as far as mobility are side sitting. So can they bring their legs in a Z shape or not? Now, the biggest thing with side sitting is you really want to bring their trunk over to pull that leg back. So their leg that is back, you want that booty off the floor before you bend that leg. It'll go through all of it in the video, which I will make sure I link in the description. If a baby struggles, like they cry when they're in a side sit position, which by the way, you don't want to do until a baby is 7 months old, make sure those hips are fully developed before you do side sitting. But for crawling, we're not even really looking at crawling before like 7 months, really 9 to 11 months is really when I even start to promote crawling based activities for my littles. If your little does not want to be in side sitting, stick their bum elevated on a pillow, decrease the stretch on those hip muscles, see if that's better. If that's better, that indicates maybe there's some booty tightness in there. Grab a handheld vibration massager, get all those booty muscles, the side booty muscles, the back booty muscles, the top booty muscles, all of those, really 2 to 5 minutes on each bum, and then try that position again. It may take a little bit of time. Elevate them on a pillow until they can really relax into it. After they're able to do that for 1 to 2 minutes, then retry it on the floor. Eventually, we want babies to be able to hold that side sit position on their own with their trunk nice and upright. I hope you guys have had an awesome time learning from me today with this little mobility trunk, arms and hips crawling masterclass. If you'd like to work one-on-one with me, if you have additional questions, make sure you check the pinned comment. That is where there will be an online scheduling link, and we can do a one-to-one 60-minute video chat session to really help you help your little master that next milestone or answer any questions you have and get you on to the right next steps.